Hello, everyone. Deb Smart here, and welcome to Smart Talks with One Smart Lady. And this week's theme is the Anthology Collective. This is where I talk to the founders or the key person that helped put a particular anthology together. It was a joy working with this woman, Desiree Cruz. Desiree is a wife and a mother, and she is really someone that focuses on empowering other women to do more with their lives and to tell their stories because their stories are so important. Desiree is also co-owner of Merge Worldwide with her husband, Jesse Cruz. And I have been a part of their organization, a part of their community for about 2 years now. And I just love the heart-centered programs and events that they put together. Well, I'm not going to hold you up any longer. Please listen in and enjoy my time that I spent with Desiree Cruz. But it's been such a pleasure and a joy, just really knowing you and watching how you two have you've affected so many people's lives, not only with your story about faith and just your faith, period. So I'm happy. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thank you so
My
much, Deb.
my whole purpose is because you have been so successful. I actually added up 26 individuals you have brought together in two different volumes of Warrior Women and affected their lives individually. Not only their lives, but the readers who read their stories. And that's why I call this the wonderful world of. How did you come up with this concept? I mean,
Oh,
how was the process for you?
I have such a story for you, and I love telling stories. So honestly, what happened is I was sitting at my dining room table, and it was my husband, my daughter, and then my oldest daughter and me, and we were having dinner, and Jesse's phone went ding. And he looked at it real quick, and I was like, "Hey, now, wait a minute, you're breaking your own rules. We're not supposed to, no cell phones at the table, like that whole thing, right?" And just messing with him. And he's like, "Does this one? I know I'm breaking my own rule, but this one I gotta share." And I was like, "All right." So he sends me this picture. It makes me emotional every time. He sends me this picture, and it's this family from Canada, and his wife just passed. And he was reading the book to his son. And we didn't even know who he was. And he said he bought it off of Amazon. And it was a book that my children wrote called "Where Did My Loved One Go?" with Jesse. And the book was like a children's perspective of when like loss happens to them. And sorry, I didn't even realize this was gonna get me this emotional today, but it's such a powerful story because I was sitting at my own dining room table and I got to sit there and witness what a book does live. Like, we didn't even know this family. They lived in a different country. We're sitting there at a dining room table, and he's reading it to his son because his wife just died. And his son is like younger than my kids. And it just like put me back to like when we were in that situation and when our daughter passed, and how to explain that to them, my two oldest. And and it took me right back to there, and I was like, wow, my kids are making an impact. My husband created this, a man of faith who wants to help other people with this story. He's turned such a negative thing into such a beautiful thing, and I got to see that live. And I sat there and I was like, whoo, it was so beautiful. I had to like just sit there for a while because like as women, we want to hop in, we want to take control of the whole thing, we want to, run the show and stuff. And this time my control was that I had to just sit back and watch. And I did. And it was one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. And then I had to sit there and think to myself, what am I doing as far as legacy goes to my kids? And I sat there for a long time at that table silent. It was so beautiful watching them. I told my children, I said, listen, you guys are very young right now. I think at the time they were like 14 and 16. I said, you guys don't really understand the impact that's happening right now, but in the future, you're going to realize like this kind of stuff is what matters, is when people are really truly impacted by the masterpieces that you put out. And so I sat back and then I looked over at my daughter and I said to her, do you even know mommy's story? And she's like, well, yeah, mom, of course I do, but your story's too sad. And I was like, wow, that's sad. That's what you think of when you think about my story. So then I'm like, it's fair, right? She was a teenager and she didn't really quite understand like what I was trying to get her to understand about my story. And I said to her, you know what, honey? There's so much more that I need you to know about my story. This is not a I want you to feel bad for me story. This is a I want you to know that life happens to people and we are victors and we are overcomers. And there's lessons that I want you to know about this story. And by me doing that, I started really thinking about all the women that I've met from the live events that we host. And I was saying, man, I know that this is a common theme where there's so many women out there who are warrior women who don't have it written down. They don't have it left behind about what their story is and the lessons that they want the people to know about their story. So from there, I was like, you know what? I went to sleep. I heard God tell me, just do it. I woke up the next morning and I called all them women, told them what he told me to say. And they were all like, I'm in. And I'm like, I can't believe this. And that's how Warrior Women started. And it was so amazing.
It was the perfect time.
Yeah.
It was the perfect time. We never know what's going to happen when we step into what we're supposed to do,
No.
you know, and it does take us by surprise. But then as we're going through the process, it feels so right.
Oh, yeah. I learned so much about everything in that moment. Like, I was like, all right, well, this is a pivot, right? This is completely different, right? But this is another platform that we
Mm-hmm.
can use so that you can not only just get on the mic, but you can also be in a book. And by it being on a book, it doesn't ever go away. It doesn't go away. It's there forever. And like, yes, we have multiple stories, but like what I was really thinking of and what I talked about on my live just a couple days ago is that I have a lot of women in my life who are very important to me and they have passed. You know, they've been gone for a little while, both my grandmothers I was talking about. And I don't have anything. I have nothing. I have nothing written down. I have no journals. I have very little, like one of my nanny, I called her, she was like my whole world. I was so little when I was building that relationship with her that she didn't really get to see much of me being a grown up and like having my own family and my own, like me as a mom. Haley was very young when she passed. I think she was like 1. And then my other grandma passed like 5 years ago. She got to see me be a little bit more of a mom because I was older then. But even with her, I don't have anything. I have nothing written down. I have nothing about the lessons that she wants me to know. And then it's like, it's been so long that sometimes I even forget. You know, it's been so long since I've seen her that sometimes I forget. Like what were some of the things that she faced? I mean, she was born in the 1920s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of lessons that she could have taught me that I wish I would give anything for. I would give anything for it.
Yeah. See, one of the blessings I have is I started writing at a very early age. So I wrote about my aunts and my grandmothers and
Oh,
what was
I
going
love
on at that
that.
time. And I was the type of child that I would sit and listen to their stories. I was like a sponge. And so I pray that I can continue to dig down into the well of memories. And what I do is I pour it into my characters. Because I've written one book called Pearl, the Little Light That Shines. And what I did was I was Pearl, of course. And then the woman who raised me from the time my mom gave us up, she had a nervous breakdown. So we had to get put in foster care. So from 3 months old to 3 years old, this woman raised me. And
Mm.
so I wrote about my life with her up until I was 12 years old. You know, that's when she passed away. I think 10 or 12, I forget which. But you're right.
Wow.
But my brother, older brother, he blessed us with a diary that belonged to my Aunt Margie. And my Aunt Margie was a trip. I can't wait to write her as a character in this story. Aunt Margie and her boyfriend, they never got married. But they were, I mean, they lit up the house whenever they showed up at my grandmother's house, you know, because they just lived outside of the norm of what the Wilsons did. But you're right, missing out on those stories to pass down to your children, you know, it's really tough. It really is. Um, Now, how many books between the there's two books, right? There's two, right?
Oh, no. So that's just one.
It's
So,
just the one?
yeah. So my children and my husband wrote one separately. That is called Where Did My Loved One Go?
Okay, I forgot the name, but I do have it. I was looking all over for it and I couldn't find it. But I did want to say I love that story. It really touched me. It really did. Really
Thank
did.
you.
Now we can go into the Warrior Women.
Boom. Here's one and here's two.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, put it up, put it up. I'm ready.
Here we go, girl.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I got mine. This was for me an opportunity. I don't think I had. I think I had been in other anthologies in the past, but I never met the women. It was my first time that you guys brought us together, and that was such an awesome experience. It really was.
Yes. Yes.
And the relationships that have grown out of that, and
Yeah.
even the ones that didn't attend the trip through Zoom now. I mean, it's just the family that I have that now
Yes.
live with me is just unbelievable. And
Hmm.
the anthologies process does. It brings people together, you
Yes,
know.
it does.
So I want you to talk a little bit more about what the plan is for book number 3.
Yeah, so I wanted to create a community where we were doing that it was much more than just writing a chapter together, and that we could actually be in community together, actually be in fellowship together, actually be in a trusted place together where we could really lean into those 5 pillars that I feel like is that brings true abundance in people's lives. So healing, empowerment, action, relationships, and transformation. I really truly believe that when we're leaning into those 5 areas in our work, in our day-to-day stuff, and in our community, that we are going to have the best opportunity for abundance in every area of our life. So Warrior Women 3 is going to be exactly just that. I'm going to bring another tribe together for series 3, and we're going to be in community and fellowship. I'm going to still lead the calls weekly, and we're going to write our stories. So we're going to be journaling, we're going to be healing while we're writing it down, and then we're going to be releasing and letting it go and saying it out loud and letting go of a lot of the weight that is connected to some of these stories, and feel the pure joy of some of the things that really have fulfilled our souls and really have spoken to our heart in a way that says, like, our life was never the same from this moment on. So that's what I encourage the women to talk about, is what was that moment for you where, like, your heart said it was never going to be the same? Because that's what people relate to, is those kinds of moments. That true, raw, authentic moment where your heart is speaking to you and you know you're not the same. Like, you just can't be the same after this. And then when you fill in the blank, that's what the story is. Because, as women, we have so many stories. So I plan on doing that. And then we put a bunch of women together who just want to empower one another. And you see this all the time with the number of collaborations, and we're all intertwined in different circles. And, if someone's hosting something and I saw you at Tiff's event, and just we try to show up for each other in a way that I haven't seen, it's a wonderful group of women who really want to show up for one another and empower one another. And then the action is like the actual steps of writing the story and being a published author. And then how do you leverage all of that? So in the calls, I'm going to teach all of those kinds of things. I'm going to add in a little bit more value of how to create your own ecosystem from the product. Like, it's way more than just a chapter in a book if you really know and understand how to do an ecosystem of it. And then I'm going to do a virtual summit, again, connected to it, but then I'm going to teach the women how to do their own. I'm also going to be doing like a 101 if you want to host your own event and create your own stage, because I have done so many events now. I'm very confident in my ability of being able to teach a 101 of, hey, listen, this is what we did. And we've done a lot of successful events, and you can do it too, right? In the way that you've been called to do it. And so I'm going to add that in as a value piece to it all. We're going to do a book launch that's going to be much different than before, which I'm really excited about, to change it up a little bit and go do something different. And then I'm going to take everybody on a journey of, we're going to start with the book and the calls, but then there's going to be multiple opportunities for you to speak, both free and separately, because we have things like the virtual summit, and then the book launch, and then the Warrior Women Bomb Global Conference in August. That's going to be happening. Number 2, Warrior Women Bomb Global Conference, Women's Empowerment Movement. Because there's perks to being Warrior Women or Bomb Global. When you're part of either of those communities, you get perks for coming to that event. So then it really takes everybody on a journey of who wants to be able to do another rep, to get more clear about what your mission is and get in front of a lot more people. And with every rep, it just gets easier and easier. So we start virtually, then it goes to book launch, and then it goes to a live event. So I'm really excited about the value and the opportunities that not only is for the people, but for me. I really have won in a lot of ways as the leader of this. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, Desiree, this has been so amazing. You've helped me in so many ways, but I feel like I was winning just as much, right? I got a sisterhood now. I have girls who I pray with on a daily, that I get to see on a regular. I get to be part of your guys' stuff and in your circles. And honestly, I prayed for this kind of community, and now I have it. And I'm just so grateful for it, because it is a game changer.
Yes, it is. It is definitely a game changer. I know I've come out from the closet. I am working now in the forefront. This is actually my arena that I feel comfortable with, because I can do the quick interviews and then launch the marketing pages, and I can, pre-record. I'm not much of a live person, because I really like focus. I really like conversation, because, I'm a gabber, but my goal is to make sure that the message that you want to get out gets out without me talking over you and interrupting you. So that's why I have the format that I have, because I learned to listen from a very early age, the importance of not missing the little nuances. I am a lifelong learner. I love learning about people.
Me too.
And what makes them tick, and really to listen to see, who do I know that I can help, put them in your life, because you have a certain amount of knowledge that they may need. And because of the experiences that you've gone through, you're up there number 1 on who I can introduce to our group, because our community.
Thank you.
Our community, because I take ownership, and I'm not going to let anybody come in that is not appropriate, number 1. And someone who can learn how to grow, because you and Jess, you just have healing hearts. I can't think of any other word, but you do help us heal. Truly
Thank
get
you.
the feel.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I feel like that's what the mission and the calling is we have a goal and it's a big one. We want to impact 1 billion people in a positive way and encourage them that there is so much power in their stories. And not only is there so much power in their stories, but to be able to clearly communicate that story is one of the best skills that you will ever learn
mhm.
because there's so many people who are waiting to hear your story. Like the one that I just told you today about the dining room table, like it
Yeah,
still makes me emotional. And I know one day I'm going to meet that family in person,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. You have no idea who's reading your books or listening to your podcast, or someone might have mentioned your name. They say, "Oh yeah, I heard about that," or "I heard about him."
Right.
So yeah, the impact. I mean, I tell people are still buying Mark Twain's books. How long has he been dead?
Right. 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 It's true
So,
though.
so even if the videos and the movies go away, the books are here to stay. Truly,
Hmm.
are here to stay.
Yes.
The stories that we pass down. I'm working on a project where I'm looking at doing an anthology for women in their 60s and older to
Oh,
about the seasoned woman's story,
oh, I
what
love
would you like to
that.
pass down. So that's one of my money projects. That's why I
I
have,
love it. I love it so much.
yeah, so it's the seasoned woman. I was going to do one on grief, to follow into my Joy Comes Through the Morning series, because so many people who have gone through loss have different ways of how they handled it and how they came through.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the guiding part is the Lord. I mean, following and staying with your eyes on Him,
Mm-hmm.
even when those dark, 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 dark moments come. It's just He is who He is, regardless. As long as
Period.
you come
Yes.
to Him, as long as you come to Him, and that's what I stand on. That's
Mm-hmm. Me too. I don't know how people do it without it. I really don't get it. I don't understand it. Because I could never do this life without it, without the relationship that
no,
I have. Yeah.
no, no. I've lost two husbands within, let's see, Donald died 2003, and then Willie died in 2011, 2022. I'm sorry, 11 years. We were married. And the second time I went through with Will, I think I was prepared because of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the sorrow's there,
It's different,
but
but yeah.
it's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another reason why I'm pushing for 60 and older, to get these stories, women who have been through, whether it's divorce, as my pastor said it, my pastor's wife said at the time, it makes no difference whether it's divorce, separation, or death. It's a loss.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a loss. So,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else you want to share why I have you here that I didn't ask you? Something that you would like to?
I would, yeah, sure. I mean, to me, I would always, my call to action is for the people who have really thought about, well, what is my story? I don't even really know what my story is, or why would even, I had someone on a call just the other day say, why would anybody care about my story? And so she was actually honestly asking me, like, how do you implement your story into your company? Because I just don't know how to. And I'm just asking for advice of like how I could connect it and why would anybody care about it. So I just, had a call with her and I shared a little bit about how I do it and how she could do the same. And so there's a lot of people out there who are stuck or unsure. And I think that what that does is it's pulling us back from a different level that we could be at. I think authenticity is what actually sells. And I think being able to relate to people, because we're all just people at the end of the day. We're all just people who have experienced different things. And your story is different than mine. And through our stories, we can really teach other people and give each other hope from it. And even if you don't think that your story matters, there's someone out there who is counting on you to tell your story. And just like I was saying earlier, you don't ever really know how far something like this reaches as far as impact. Like, I will never know um, how each of these women's stories have impacted individuals all over the world. I know that it has, but unless they communicate with me afterwards and say, hey, you know, her story really affected me, I don't really know. So it's not just about the number of people, it's about knowing that it's a it's a light effect. One person is the light in the room, and then it lights the other candle, and it just continues, and then all of a sudden a really dark place can be very lit up. So I just want to say the amount of impact, even though we may not ever know what the actual numbers is, that the energy and the light that we have in it is positive to the world, and that is exactly what we need right now. Honestly, in 2024, we need light. We need bright lights who are willing to stand on the mountaintops and say, hey, let's do stuff a little differently. Let's be the light in the world. And then we want to light each other's candles instead of being candle blower outers. That's what I like to call them.
Candle blower outers. I had never heard that before. Okie dokie. I have a new term to use now.
Yeah, we don't want to be candle blower outers. No. You got to protect your light.
Okay. And
Thank you so much. This has been so amazing. I always enjoy talking to you. I just love everything about what you're doing, what you represent. And I'm honored for you to be able to be the publisher, to be on the calls with us and start this. It's like a different journey now that, you know, now you get to show me what you've been doing longer than I've been alive. And I get to show you, you know, a different version of this, as because now you're not in the book, but now you'll be outside leading it.
Sure. I'll be the little carpenter ant putting things together. I'll be the auntie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sab. I appreciate
Oh,
this
you're
so much.
welcome. I appreciate you too. And give Jesse a hug for me.
I sure will.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I want to thank Desiree for taking the time to speak with us and to pour into us her philosophy of really caring, bringing more light into the world. Until next time, this is Deb Smart, your one smart lady in publishing, saying, be blessed and stay full of joy.